Hello. Welcome to Guys Like Us, the podcast without a fancy intro today. How are you, Paul?
I'm fantastic. I would have had a fancy intro. It would have been the
Yeah.
podcast you all need to listen to every time
Ah,
we publish
okay.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That
yeah,
sounds like delivered with a bit of confidence of someone who's probably had a bit of wine tonight. That's what I feel. Is that true?
thank you for calling me out, Mark. That's the only way I get confidence. Um, but it is true. It is very true.
Good,
Yeah,
good, good, good,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's lovely. And I imagine you had multiple sponsors this evening, but who's sponsoring you
You
today?
funnily enough, it was one winery. I
Okay,
don't remember the name. It was from Burgenland. It was quite nice. And now
nice.
it's my sponsor is the Vienna water system, which is very nice.
Fantastic
Mm.
and
And
totally
yourself?
responsible. I'm sponsored today by actually it's a nice Riesling called Gunther Steinmetz from the Mosel, and
Mm.
really kind of earthy, minerally, um, relaxed, low ABV. So and it's a perfect Indian summer day. So I'm at my parents' house today.
Amazing.
Yeah, so the weather's warm, and so it's nice to enjoy it with a bit of Riesling.
Oh man, I'd love to be there because we had this Indian summer until yesterday, but it's gone. But hey, I don't want to, interrupt our chit chat, but I do want to because
Okay,
today I had, number one, you have a call in 27 minutes. Number two is I had feedback today of one of my former colleagues who said, I really like the topics you talked, about, but this chit chat in the beginning is too long for me. I want you guys to
okay.
to
Sorry.
to cut to the
So
chase right away.
So we are going to reorganize and recalibrate ourselves because
So one person,
of to meet the deep need, the classic Austrian German get to the fucking point and tell me what's okay.
no, we're not. But I mean, as we do have little time today, I thought we can try an
I
episode
love it.
that is like that.
I love it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Take the
Okay.
opportunity.
So you were super excited to leap on a theme. I think it's a theme based on your experiences this evening. Is that right?
Is absolutely correct. To give everyone context, I had a very nice dinner with my former team. That was working with me when I was CEO at Woom, and a job that I left exactly almost to the day a year ago. And
No way.
yeah, it's I think a year minus 10 days or so, 7 days.
Okay.
And we met it not because of that. At this time, we've met a few times in between. It was really my management team or our management team, and I asked it, the guys, and girls, what should we talk about today? They all know, obviously, about the things we're doing here. And one of the comments was, let's talk. Or you guys could talk about work relationships or the
Mm.
relationships you have with colleagues. Mike, you're such an idiot.
Why? I'm
you
just smiling.
you couldn't keep it for 2 seconds long. I mean, it's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, listen, the topic lends itself to all different
Kinds of interpretations. Yes.
interpretations, right? And
Yes. Yeah.
where my brain naturally goes to first, and then I step back into the very honest and queer space where you would like to stay. So,
Yes.
workplace relationships. Um, that's always a terrific one because I think people have a lot of different philosophies about it.
I
Um,
full on agree. What's yours?
I think it's funny actually. I was offered a similar call, funny enough, just before this one with two colleagues who we love working together so much and appreciate each other so much that we've become really, I would say, good and close friends. That's transcended to a friendship. Um, and if I thought about it, I think it's really hard for me not to be friends with great coworkers. I think that's what makes work fun. It makes work meaningful. And, assuming that they're good at their job, which is this whole other shadow side, no doubt we'll probably get to, like you 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 create a more enjoyable environment to move forward. So I think like great working relationships, very often they're your friends. Now, do they have to be your best friends, be at your wedding and,
Yeah.
no, not necessarily, but there's a mutual respect and I think, admiration there?
Yeah, that's I think, I had someone I worked with once and who was at the board who told me he was a very seasoned, CEO and manager, and he told me, "You shall never have friends in the company you work at. Never have, deep personal relationships because you never know when you need to fire them." And when that happens, all of these personal relationship stuff is in the way. And he was like 100% clear on that. And I remember, when I heard that, that I felt like I, I mean, I understand, the issue and the problem, but I'm just not like that. A-
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I don't think I can do that because the way I think and I'm not saying everyone I ever worked with was my friend or the other way around, right? I mean, absolutely not. But I think in a team that works well, there are so many elements of friendship like trust and so on that
Yeah.
you could say that are not mutually exclusive to a friendship. You can have trust in a
Of
working
course.
relationship, but I think to really understand and to be a human at work you need to understand the other where the other person is and is coming from. And I understand that the lines are blurry here, but this just purely professional thing doesn't cut it, has never cut it for me.
Well, I just don't wanna work in a place like that, and
Yeah,
I
it's fucking boring too,
yeah, and
a
so,
little
like, it's a
bit.
great way to strip the humanity of everyday work and make it much more about process oriented and goals and those things are obviously important, but they work so much better, I think, when you at least have a mutual understanding of one another, and, at its best and maybe actually is a great framing, like like, there's what do workplace relationships look like at their best,
Yeah.
and where are they also great, but maybe not quite at their best or most enjoyable, and I think they're at their best or most enjoyable when you have trust, high competence, and some level of friendship, you know? And on the flip side, you can, I think good or pretty darn good is obviously trust and excellence and, you don't necessarily have to be friends, but like, um, some shared worldview.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think through this and really define friendship,
Mm,
because I was just thinking when we set up this. I mean, you can be just colleagues and still know what's going on in the person's life. You can still know their kids' names when they have birthdays, if their mom and dad is sick or any other relative, their cats died. All of that works, I think, still outside of a friendship. And what
I agree.
defines a
Totally.
friendship, right? I mean, what defines a friendship then? And I thought, would it be for me is to go for beers with that person, or dinner or lunch, or have any contact outside of work. Share things. You know, I don't know, meet with the kids, play,
Yeah.
go on vacation. I mean, you name it. That's friendship. And to be honest with you, I was very friendly with, many of my colleagues, especially my closest coworkers. But I think also that, a true friendship like this, also, it wasn't because I limited it in a
Mhm,
sense.
mhm.
I was, really a good friend with, my partner, Jörg, that I grew a business with in consulting, but we were also at the same level. He
Yeah,
was my partner, 100% eye to eye. There was no millimeter in difference. And we were leading a team together. We were building a business together. We shared lots of things. We met and talked about our lives and relationships and worries and fears and hopes and dreams and everything. And it was a friendship and a partnership and a work relationship. It was amazing. It's very similar to what we are doing now too, in a sense, because we do a podcast, which is not a business yet, guys, but it's gonna be an amazing business.
yeah.
The best. Um, but and it works, I think, when you're at the same level. As soon as you are not, and I tell you, the first time I realized that
Tell
was
me.
at a Christmas party of my team about must have been 10 years ago, maybe 10 or
Okay.
9 years ago. And that it was, already after the party. It was already after party of the after party, basically in some kind of clubby bar in Graz where, everyone was having fun and dancing and jumping and drinking. And, it was just really letting, and I saw all of them kind of connecting and, you know, and having fun. And I also felt like they would have more fun if I left.
Yeah. Oh,
That was the
there's
worst, man.
definitely that. Well, that's I
And
think
you wouldn't
here
want a
here
friend to leave, would you? So, I
no,
mean,
no, 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 but that's different, slightly different, I think, what we're talking about,
okay.
or maybe it isn't. Like,
Mm.
you're talking about being leaders versus coworkers and or equal in an organization. I think that is there are implicit hierarchies, um, and power and, like, power, s sorry, struggles, like, elements of power in the workplace relationship, that you also have to be aware of, especially as you're being a leader of a team and you have, junior people to more junior people who you're leading, you know?
Yeah, but that doesn't sorry, but doesn't that define exactly the playground or the playing field of where friendships are possible or
Totally.
are or,
But,
should happen? Or I don't want to postulate what should and should not be, but
no, yeah, yeah, but I mean, I also wanna be clear, and, as always in this podcast is about discovering kind of the theme in a way. Um, what we mean by friendship to me is not, "Oh, look, there are a few people who I treat like my normal friends who I work with," and I go
here you
out.
go. Okay, yeah.
And
I s-
then there are others who I'm friendly with. I respect them. We talk about the same things. We talk about movies, we talk about sport. Like, it's like someone I enjoy being around with and have shared interest around. But I do not transcend the boundaries outside of work, you know?
Okay, but this is interesting because it's kind of like remember, I don't know if we ever if it was in our trial episode on friendship, where remember I asked you whether there was a different definition of what a friend is in the US because you everyone's a friend. Oh, this is a great friend of mine. It's like saw him twice, basically, maybe even even twice, and that's kind of it also, right? Because if I talk about a friendship that is in a workplace, that is a friendship that transcends work. Otherwise you're
God.
just being friendly, and you're just being friendly. I mean, okay, I talk about my kids, I talk about my hobbies, I talk about the same movies, but this is not being a friend.
So you're calling me out on my classic American kind of bullshit of friends. And, you know,
I would like to frame it differently. I spotted a cultural difference in the definition of the word friendship and how
that's
we
being gentle.
almost almost talked kind of about different things,
Mm.
as we try to define this topic.
And so let's make the topic. Yeah. Okay. But we do the segmentation. I agree that, uh, like, I mean, different levels of friend. There's being friendly and true friends. Fair enough. I'll accept your
Uh,
definition for now.
Let me ask you a different question, right? I mean, apart from the fact that your coworker is an ass, why wouldn't you be friendly?
Um,
Or maybe not only
I
an
think for
ass,
many
maybe it's also
people,
interested in
I think,
things that you're
well,
not
I
interested in
mean,
or whatever.
sorry,
Yeah.
like, I mean, let me ask you that. I mean, you worked. I've been in countless organizations, countless. I mean, in my work, where people choose not to either be friendly or to see it just as a job. They don't see the what's called the social benefits to just being human and nice at work.
Fair. Listen, I mean, there are people that are just so different and they have different interests or different walks of life or whatever, where we just don't share, personal things. But
Yeah,
apart from that, what is the downside? I think why we had this as a topic is I think it's because there are clear downsides in being friends,
100%.
having friends at work, like real friends, right? So, okay, let's talk about them later. But what is the downside of being friendly to someone at
Nothing.
work?
You should argue nothing. That's being a good human being, right?
That's exactly my point. So that's
Right?
why to me there's almost
Yeah, yeah.
not a
And yet
topic
so many
because
people choose not to do it, you know?
yeah, that's
And
interesting.
like, I think, uh
Yeah,
there's
because I
respect,
think
but, like, friendly is different. The look, here's the innovation. Let me just tell you something. I just came from, a big trip out on the West Coast. People are actually discussing inside that organization. They're like, "Oh, like, our humanity's gone," or etcetera, because we used to take time to ask people how they are before a conversation. No,
crazy.
I mean, crazy idea, right? And they're
What?
like, "Oh, and we're not doing that," and we're like, that's all they need, and you see in especially organizations kind of moving towards hyper efficiency, um, performance, go, 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 like stepping back to be human and check in and ask someone about their day, how they're doing, where they're finding them right now, even if it's just 2 minutes, is a great thing. Um,
I agree,
and
and yeah, sorry.
makes people feel seen. You're not just a cog in the wheel, which is what no one wants to be.
Do think that the positives are very apparent. Um, I'm trying to figure out what the downsides are. As we just said, there are none, but I actually think there are some because otherwise
Oh,
people
there's so many.
would be
I
sharing.
mean,
I think the downsides is is also vulnerability in a sense, right? If you people might be scared to share things that they think might be used against them or might make other people look at them in a different light because they think if I tell anyone that I have a sick child at home, they think I'm not focused at work and they're gonna blame me for that. And things like I guess that's I guess that's quite possible that that's going on. I would never think that, but listen, I mean, I do think
uh,
that's an actual thing. I think that's why I've
yeah,
heard this many times and had this in teams that
sure.
people wouldn't share, things that really moved them in their private life because they were afraid that their the perception that other people had of them would change and it would negatively affect the way they were treated or judged or
Yeah.
their performance was evaluated, right? Because
I
they got
mean,
a stigma because, oh, no, this guy's never
right.
there because they have, sick child or a sick mother and they always have to go blah, blah.
Well, I was going to tick into a different direction, but I just want to
Tick,
honor what you
tick
said.
ahead.
I'm someone who cherishes vulnerability to an extent.
I know
And
you don't want to talk about orgasms, but that's a different
no,
story.
no, that's a different story. But no, what I mean is like, friendly is I'm happy to hear about your day and where you are, etc. But if you're going to tell me about, be deeply emotive when we don't have time, it's a different story. But like, be
Okay,
just
that's
being,
oversharing, and we
yeah,
also know
yeah,
that
yeah. We all
sucks.
know that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the challenge with this philosophy of building friends that like true, like meaningful friendships at work, or at least in my mind, is when your friends don't perform, when you have to fire them, when you give feedback you don't want to do, like when you have bad, like all of that is hard. But I think the trade off is worth it. And you know, I have been in positions where I've had to lay off friends of mine that sucked, and um, I've also been in positions where I've had to get feedback that was really tough. But like, I think that's also honoring the friendship, and you know, um, they've forgiven me. I think, at least they moved on. But let me ask you this: Do you is your inclination like when you started your job at Womb, you know,
Mhm.
you know, outside of the advice we were given, did you go out for beers with your leadership team? Did you seek to see them as what's behind their, who they were in role and title?
I think very much so, because as the leadership team formed, I was also always someone that was. I think I also chose people to be in the group that I knew we had shared values, not because of me, but because of the company, and because I think that makes working together easier. And we're all people that I genuinely liked and liked spending time with. And
Right,
then obviously you do, and I think it's always nice to connect on that personal level to understand what's going on in another person's life, how their private situation is, what they like doing for fun, where they go on vacation, and not only on dinners or beers or something like that, but also at work, I think you're not, you're a person. And as you said the other day, one of your mentors said that there is no such thing as a work-life balance, because work is life and life is work, in a sense, and that's the
Right.
same here.
Right.
And 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 I've had very good conversations about very private things with my team members, where sometimes I thought, okay, it is, I wouldn't say crossing the line, but it is something very special, and I was very honored to have those conversations. And also, when I left, I was happy for the fact that I could really start developing friendships with some of them,
Mhm.
because I always knew there is an invisible line or border or boundary to a real friendship, where also when you have a team where I had a team of 6, when you start being friends with one person more than with the others, it starts becoming, I think, not right.
Totally.
And obviously there are, and that would happen then. So how can you be friends with 6 people at the same, it's just off in a
Yeah, yeah.
sense. So I was that was something I always was, and I always said so when I left. It's like, this is nice. I know that now this has the potential to grow friendships, and it has. And I think it will also, because things also take time, and it took me some time to take that step back. Yeah.
Do you think okay, so on the flip side, have you worked with someone who's decided, "You know what, like, Paul, you seem like a very nice person, but I'm here to do a job," you know? Um, this notion of,
Don't try
uh
to go for beers. No, I
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah. Really?
Have you?
Oh, yeah, tons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. I mean, and we've had a perfect professionally professional relationship. They were skilled at what they did. Um, would have been more fun if, we had some kind of connection, sure. But, they wouldn't be on my top 10 list to work with. Yeah. I mean, if compared to a person who was more fun and, you saw eye to eye.
God, I mean, the more I think about this, the deeper this topic gets. Is very difficult. I think there are very different types of leaders, and you have to and I was always one that I think was a leader's leader. I like to work with people and understand them and be there for them and empower
Yeah,
them. And for that, I think some kind of a relationship is necessary. To me, there was always a line, and I'm not sure I always, I'm sure I always stepped this. I know I always stepped this line, but that that's a different topic. But apart from that too, I mean, some friendships just develop, and that's fine. Um, and it's the way I lead. It is through, by getting people on board and on the same values. And I think that there are more mechanical leaders that are very effective and efficient in different situations. And that's why I also think that, no one leader is a fit for every situation and every
I
company and
agree with
every
that too.
stage, right?
I agree with that
So
too. And I
so
think
I
you need to be
guess, yeah.
cognizant. Can I build on that? I think you need
Yeah,
to be
please.
cognizant. I mean, obviously, we're speaking to this as leaders, but I think you need to be cognizant of when um that you may not be right. Like I, Mark, am not right for every situation to lead in every
Exactly.
situation.
Yes,
And I'm
same
fine with
here.
that.
Yeah.
I fully acknowledge that sometimes a command and control, like, here's what it is, get in line, kind of like like, and
Yeah,
friendships complicates everything. Like, I
exactly.
agree with that, you know?
Let's just, bam, 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 shakalam. Let's get this over with. These are your goals. These are the deadlines. Let's
Yeah.
not fuck around.
Ice cold, let's not
Ciao.
mess exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, and
exactly.
so, like, when you do that, I think that's but I know that I think we're pretty self-aware when it comes to that kind of thing, but it's good to call out, and let me ask you this. Imagine you start your own company.
Hmm.
Imagine it's like a little media company, I don't know,
Crazy
and you were
thought.
create a crazy thought, and you were to take out a piece of paper and create your type of dream team. Are all of them are all those people friends?
No, I would always, if I can choose, like we do now, or I did in the past, do something as a group of 2 or maybe 3, kind of co-founders that are really, see their superpowers as what they are, and have a
Yeah,
common understanding of what they're great at, love working together, love challenging each other, love taking the piss, and are comfortable, like we are. I think that's perfect, and I really love this. And
mhm,
and I would always pick that overdoing something alone
Mm,
because you cannot recreate that. There's no other work relationship like this when you are exactly at the same level. And I think that's very difficult in a corporate environment, because you never really have that situation because the person next to you can be your next boss or can be it's there's always something, right?
mm,
And and you never know, right? I mean, I guess when you are, two partners, right, in these partnership kind of situations, like, in consultancies and lawyers, and that might be possible, but in a classical hierarchical group of companies situation, I think corporate situation is more difficult.
I agree.
I would
I agree.
imagine, never been in one, to be fair.
Oh, I've been one. Um, well, to land the plane on this, is there? I think the takeaway we're kind of getting from this conversation. By the way, I kind of love when we go ice cold and just discover the theme. It's fun. uh, is that we obviously friendships or like a friendly or friendship oriented approach is desired when we think about workplace relationships.
Yeah. So
But
friendliness,
and
I think,
yeah, obviously,
encourage friendliness also for the
yeah,
people that work for you.
no,
Encourage vulnerability. No one should be punished for that.
no, and okay, that sounds like a silly basic insight, like dumb, but it's actually quite gets to be thoughtful and hard, and it's important. But it's also, as we talked about, makes things a lot easier. But we believe the trade offs are worth it. And by that, I mean, it's the shadow sides, like all of that. Like, even though you might be in those situations, even though you might be um, challenged to be in conversations that are harder or made harder because of how well you know that person, it's worth it because you believe it makes work more enjoyable, more fun,
Yeah.
and potentially more efficient, right?
I think be aware of the trade-offs because there are trade-offs, as we
Yeah,
said,
of
right? I mean,
course.
situational leadership and what kind of leader
100%.
are you, um, and identify, and to me though that emotional connection and connection is also my greatest strength as a leader. So I'm willing to take the downsides. And what we haven't talked about, and just is a way too short of a mention for the topic, is some of my best friendships were created when I was a young professional in a company for someone that was at the same junior level
Of
or,
course.
or whatever, right? And those are the ones that really last because you go through so much shit and fun things, and they're
Yes.
beautiful. And we just forgot this because we've been in that, very previous position to lead. But those are really, if I,
Shed your privilege, Paul. Shed your
yeah,
privilege. Exactly. No, it's right. Yeah.
yeah,
No, no,
uh,
that's spot on. I mean, I think where it depends where you are on
yes,
like your career, but
yes.
obviously this is guys like us who are, tragically are in their middle aged and
We don't look like it, guys.
no.
We don't
Duh.
sound like it, but it is
Hey,
true.
do you have a quick Terminator or Idiot of the Week for us?
Listen, Terminators of the Week. I have to say, my two sons, I sent you pictures. We were fishing on the weekend. It was
Amazing.
unreal, unreal. Most beautiful thing. Gesäuse sites. They caught amazing rainbow trouts. Who, by the way, eat all the original trouts from the North American rainbow trout was
Oh wow.
imported into Europe and is fucking up the other trouts. Anyways, we put them on the barbecue the day after. The softest, nicest meat, man, it was unreal.
Mm.
Terminators of the week, of the month.
Oh wow.
Guys
Okay,
killed
you
it.
two kids.
Killed it, got it out, killed it, gutted the fish, did the whole thing, the boys. I was like, grossed me out, but they did the job. Yourself?
Nice. I have an incredible sushi restaurant to
Similar
recommend.
topic.
Uh, well, you just kind of sparked it to me. Uh, Sushi combo. It's kind of interesting. Like, I treated myself out on the West Coast to one of these little omakase things that were small things. So this
Mm.
one's in Seattle, and the chef decided that sushi omakase is boring, which it is. I mean, it's awesome, of course. Boring. It's like I can serve you
We
12.
never did that actually together. We should do it once.
No, we should. Well, listen. I'm saving a lot of cards. I've been playing. They're all different
For
when you're
what?
over. Yeah, it's true. Okay. We sell the
Okay,
company.
whatever. Next time.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but let me tell you guys. So you have a menu that is really diverse. So you get your 6 killer pieces of sushi, which is awesome. But then the upfront is like really. interesting plays on Japanese cuisine, and you're getting seared beef that are in little cubes, and they're basically having they want to do both. Could be a high end and to be a sushi thing. And I have to say, I hadn't had quite a cuisine like that in a while, and they kicked ass. So in
Huh.
Sushi Combo in Seattle, I recommend it.
Nice.
DM me
And
if you want
any
people.
idiot of the week?
The idiots of the week, I have to say, are the Amtrak, our train system in
Interesting.
the US. Oh my God.
Why?
King
When
of
did you?
embarrassments. King of
Why?
embarrassments.
Where? How did you
You
take a train?
Amtrak to DC. So Amtrak has
Ah,
a brand new what they're calling a Acela train that
a
moves. Are
bullet
you
train.
ready? Dude, 11 minutes faster than the other one. And they'll no, this is a true story. It's still an absurdly long time to get between the 2 most important cities in the US or outside of San Francisco, at least on the East Coast, right? And they took so long for those trains to come out that they have the old UVC plugs instead of the U
Jesus, that's 10 years. But it reminds me, I can name the idiot of the century, that train thing. It reminds me of that when I lived in Japan 20 years ago. I lived between Yokohama and Tokyo. And so this line was going to Ginza. Um, no, Shibuya, I'm sorry. And so there were three different speeds, right? And so at the second or third last station in front of Tokyo, there was the fast train past the slow train, and everyone was trying to get into the fast train, which arrived into Shibuya 1 minute earlier. Okay, one minute, which means you get three trains before into the next subway because they go every 25 seconds. But so everyone went out of the slow train and got pushed into this fast train, which I recorded on the very famous video, which is called Train Stuffing in New York, that had over 5 million views on YouTube,
in New
which is,
York.
sorry, in Tokyo, which
Uh,
is on our YouTube channel, Guys Like Us, because I reappropriated this YouTube channel
thank you for
so we
that, by
have
the way.
a few
Yeah.
followers. Yeah.
You could
So
say now we
watch
have
it.
5,000,000 views.
We
Yeah.
have 5 million views on a video made in 2006. And
Mm.
so, but the funny thing is
We're
that
playing the long tail.
you have to see it. It's insane. But these people got pushed by a guy or a woman in white gloves into their wherever to be on a train that arrives at the destination 1 minute earlier. Not saying the rest of the people who didn't care about the minute had an empty train, seats, everything. It was perfect. So that's my idiots
So
of the last 20 years
century.
still. I
That's
will
pretty
I will
good.
I will pull this card, this joker, every time I don't have an idiot,
No,
because
it's a good one, and there's a
it's
good reminder to push
100%
to our
true.
page. All right, my friend.
Man,
Well,
that
thank
was
you, Paul.
fun. I just realized how much I missed this. This was missing
Yeah,
in
me
my
too. It
life
was
in the last
great.
10 days. Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Thank you,
Have
Mark.
a good one. Get some
You too.
rest.
Talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Bye. Ciao.